stand anywhere. These people study so much more than me. And she's like, why do you want to leave early? And I'm like, I need to prepare for NEET PG. And then she's like, why do you need to study for NEET PG? You're anyways going to do your PG from a deemed college. Even if you study the 19 subjects very properly, but you don't have the correct mindset towards your preparation, you won't be able to crack the exam. Initially, I used to just score in like 300s in my GTs. There were some professors as well who used to be like, you're just wasting your parents' money here. That phase of my life again. So I was like, okay, I don't care what anybody says around me, I am going to do it. So that was my mindset that I can do this. Yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is a little special. We have with us a special guest, Dr.Aditi Garg from Delhi. She is here to tell her experience and also inspire many other NEET medical aspirants to appear for NEET PG exam. Welcome, Dr. Aditi.
Thank you so much for having me on your channel.
There's a lot that we want to know about you. So why don't we start with your NEET UG journey and where are you from and which college did you do your NEET UG from?
Okay, so I'm from Delhi, but I did my MBBS from Maharashtra. I completed my MBBS recently from Jawaharlal Nehru Medical College, which is in Maharashtra.
Okay, so why did you choose to be a doctor?
Honestly, like ever since I was a kid, I did not think of anything else apart from being a doctor. Then, as I started growing up, I started developing an inclination towards biology. And like, there's no other doctor in my family. I'm a first generation doctor. So, like, whenever anybody in my family used to fall sick, then I used to realize the role of a doctor. And that was like, I was like, this is my calling. So, yeah, that inspired me to become a doctor.
Oh, that's great. So, what kind of student were you in your NEET UG days? Like during our, right now we are in our MBBS
Mm,
phase where, like, were you like a topper
yeah.
always, or like, what kind of student were you?
So I would say that I was a sincere student. I was never the topper of my batch, but I used to always maintain a balance. I had a lot of fun in my college as well, but then I used to try to be consistent with my studies as well. So I tried to maintain a balance and I used to make small efforts every day.
Okay. So, now coming to the NEET preparation, when exactly did you start your NEET PG preparation?
I started my NEET PG preparation per se in my third year when I took the subscription of Marrow. So that was when I started my preparation.
Okay, so if you could just give like an idea of when you started it, so like what subjects did you do in your third year, final year, and how
Mm,
did you like manage
mm,
both your finals and your NEET?
mm. Yeah, so in my third year, I mainly concentrated on my third year subjects, which were PSM, ENT, and ophthalm. I completed all the videos as well as the Q banks, and I read the textbooks as well in my third year. Then, basically, during third year, we had the lockdown period, so I had a lot of time. So I revised some of the first and second year subjects as well. And then in my final year, I focused mainly on the five main subjects like medicine, surgery, obs gynae, uh, peds, and ortho. I did them properly from my textbooks, videos, as well as Q banks. And then the minor subjects that were left, I covered them in my internship.
Okay, so first you would read from your
Yeah.
standard textbooks, or would you directly go on your like
Hmm.
Arrow as you told?
No, I would first of all, I would read the video, like I would watch the video of that subject. Then I would go to my books because once you watch the videos, you also develop a better understanding. Then I used to go to my books and then I used to read that topic from the book and then I used to solve the Q banks of that topic.
Okay, okay, great. So, when did you start
Yeah,
your question practice, Asha?
from third year.
Okay, so like in third year, you would watch the videos, do your textbook reading, and then also solve the questions
And
simultaneously.
then solve the questions. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what was your daily schedule like? If you could like tell, how did you manage like your college, and then how much did you give for your self-study?
Yeah, so I have never been a morning bird. I've always been a night owl. So I used to like just wake up like half an hour before the college time. I used to be back by college by around, I guess, 3 to 4. I used to rest for a while, and then like every night I used to like the night before I used to create a list for myself that okay, these all things need to be done the next day. So I used to start like completing those tasks on my list. I think on regular college days, I used to study for around 3 to 4 hours a day, maybe. And then I would just, and then after those 3 to 4 hours, I would just spend time with my friends, go out, have dinner and all. I used to come back. I used to talk to my parents, talk to my friends on call. And then at night, I used to solve some questions. And then, like, the night time, I used to keep for solving questions. So that was when I used to solve the questions of all the topics that I had studied throughout the day. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And what about during your internship time? Did you have enough time to prepare for your PG that those days?
Yeah, I feel in internship, you need to make out time. Like time management is very essential because you have to juggle between everything. You have your duties and everything. So you need to manage your time. So I used to try to study whatever time I could make out, maybe like in between duties, or there were many times where we had to be in the hospital, but we didn't really have to do any work. So there was like I would solve questions in those time. I would try to manage my time like here and there, try to steal time from like whatever I could.
Okay. And what about revision? Like, by what time did you complete your first reading and when did you start revising?
Hmm. I completed my first reading by around September end, and from October I started with my revisions.
So, approximately how many revisions did it take? Like, once did you revise all?
Yeah, so I feel for NEET. I feel for NEET PG, you need to like have the first read, like that should be very, I mean, the first 3 to 4 months, you need to have the first read, and in that first read, you need to build on your concepts. You need to have good concepts to solve the questions. So the first 3 to 4 months should go in your first read. Then after that, you need 3 revisions after your first read. So I feel the next 2.5 months you can do your first revision. Then the next 2 months another revision, and then the last 1 month you need one more revision. Because I feel that like you can keep on studying, but if you don't revise what you've studied, you won't retain it in the exams. So revision is like the key to cracking NEET PG.
Correct, correct. And what resources did you use? Were you primarily dependent on Marrow or like any other coaching institute that you followed?
Yeah, so I feel all of us use different resources. And first of all, like we use resources which are comfortable to us. So, one thing that I would suggest to everyone is that they should not fall for FOMO, like, that, okay, such this and this topper is using this resource, so I should also use that resource. Because eventually all of them give us the same information. All of them provide with the same information that we need to crack the exam. So use the resource that you're already using, and if you're comfortable with that resource, just continue using that resource. For me, it was like for some subjects I used Marrow, and for some subjects I used Prep Ladder.
Okay, okay. So how did you decide that Marrow was your choice? Based on like the videos that you saw,
Hmm.
or did you compare it with the question bank?
Hmm. Yeah, I think I asked many of my seniors as well as to which coaching I should go for. And they told me that the Q Bank of Marrow is amazing, so you should go for that. And the videos, the teachers are also amazing. So maybe, like, because of my seniors, I thought that, okay, maybe this is the right option for me. So that is why I chose Marrow.
And how did you stay consistent? Because it always happens that one day you're all motivated and the next day you're like, I don't want to study anymore.
Hmm.
How did you stay consistent?
Yeah, so I feel being consistent is something very important, yet very difficult to achieve. And for being consistent, you require a lot of discipline in you. And to achieve all of this, you need to have that one strong reason that, why do I want to do it? Why? why is it necessary for me to do it? So for me, it was always like I couldn't do well in my NEET UG. And like that was the time I had hit like rock bottom in my life. And I was like, there was so much of guilt, there was so much of struggle to get admission into a medical college. And I was like, I do not want to repeat those same mistakes in my life again. I don't want to go through that same phase in my life again where I have to, experience all sorts of regrets and guilt and all these feelings. So that was my like strong reason when I like whenever I was like, I don't feel like studying, I used to kind of remind myself that this is my reason. I need to do it for myself, for my parents. And yeah, that reason kept me consistent.
Okay, that's amazing. So now, as you'll be aware that NMC has brought in next exam, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
good thing to have, or was Neet PG a
Hmm.
better thing?
I think like the way they introduced it, like suddenly just introducing it and suddenly just telling that, okay, it's for 19 batch, that was wrong. And I feel because obviously the students right now, they're not prepared for next. So I think introducing it in such a haphazard manner was not good. But I feel eventually, after like some years down the line, it may be beneficial because, first of all, it will be clinically oriented. So people will not skip their clinics. Like these days, many people skip their clinics to study. So they will not skip their clinics. Also, like it will occur before your internship. So, you have your entire internship here to completely focus on the clinical work because these days also like many students miss their internship duties to study for NEET PG because we always have that stress for NEET PG. So like down the years, like maybe down the line, it might be good, but introducing it like in such a haphazard manner was not good.
Right, correct. So if in case NEET is there, like for 2019 batch, they're saying it might not
Hmm.
happen, but for our batch,
Yeah, yeah.
2020, it might
Hmm.
happen. So what do you
Hmm.
think people should focus more on? Like how do you approach
Hmm.
subjects when you have something like next coming?
Hmm. Yeah, so I feel for next, something that is very important is reading from your standard textbooks because I feel these days the trend is shifting towards, people are only watching the videos and solving questions. But I think standard textbook reading is very important because when you read the textbooks, you comprehend everything yourself, you understand everything yourself. So, you develop that understanding and that knowledge, and those concepts will always be there with you because you understood them yourself by reading those books. So I feel reading standard textbooks is something that is neglected these days, but it is very important. Also, for next, I feel having a clinical, like what we know is that it is going to be a clinically oriented exam. So I feel, reading the clinical books that we have and going to your clinics, taking cases and all, presenting cases, all of these things are very important.
Right, correct. So, in your college days, when you had your clinics and all, how did you take cases? Like, would you go take cases and study those cases again, or like what use did you make from those clinical hours, basically? How
Hmm.
can others also be?
Yes. Hmm. We used to like every day we had this thing that we had to take cases roll number wise, like in our batch. So basically, we used to go in the evening. We used to take a case. Okay, two or three people used to go together. We used to take the case extensively, do the entire examination, and then we would go back to our hostel. We used to discuss about the case also. Like whenever we had to present the case, we used to like two, three people. We used to sit together. We used to discuss about everything about the case. We used to read about, read that topic about the case, and then the next day we used to present the case. And then like the clinics in our college were very good, so we had extensive discussion about the clinics, about the cases, and then the next day our professors used to take our classes and they used to teach us everything. So I feel sometimes like whatever I studied in my books maybe, or whatever I studied in those videos, maybe I won't remember it today, but whatever like my professor taught me during the clinics, whatever like the whatever we examined, whatever clinical signs that we saw in the patient, I still like have those signs in front of my eyes right now. So I think those are the things that you always retain. So clinics are very essential.
Correct. But what about those students or those colleges which don't focus a lot on clinics? Now, of
Mm,
course, they're trying to
yeah.
focus more, but they don't have
Mm,
resources or enough number of patients.
mm,
So, and
mm.
plus now the next is going to be more clinical oriented. So,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
do
yeah.
they
Mm.
approach subjects clinically?
Yeah, so for that, I feel reading clinical textbooks is very important. Like for medicine, there's Hutchison and there's Kundu, which is there. And then for like, there are these amazing clinical textbooks which provide you with amazing knowledge. Plus, there are a lot of YouTube videos as well, where they examine the patient, they show all the clinical signs as well. And so if your college does not focus much on clinics, you can refer to these YouTube videos and, make your clinical knowledge strong.
Okay, okay. So a little about you. What are your plans now that you've cleared your NEET PG? What are you planning to take up as a branch? What are your interests?
Hmm. Yeah, so currently I'm just waiting for NEET PG counseling. I mean, it's been 4 months and the counseling hasn't started yet. So I'm just waiting for that announcement. And like, I have been honestly deciding, I'm very jealous of the people who already know what branch they want because I am so clueless right now. And I mean, it seems tougher than giving NEET PG, honestly, because I've been like talking to people about what I should take. What I have decided is that I don't want to go into a surgical branch because like I am more interested towards the medicine field. So I was like, okay, so I narrowed down my choices to pediatrics, derma, radio, and medicine. And then I was like, okay, medicine, I think it is kind of very saturated. Maybe I don't want to do it. So then I was like, okay, I'll do something out of pediatrics, radio, and derma. And now I'm like still confused between these three branches. So I'm still talking to residents and people and knowing more about these branches and discovering what I really want to do.
Okay, right. Also, this
Yeah.
like since your counseling has been delayed by like so much,
Mm,
so
mm.
are you like planning to take up, I don't know, they do some work in some hospitals for a while? I don't know,
Yeah,
internships,
yeah,
like
yeah. It is like non-academic JRs, they are there. Actually, I was planning on doing that, but since I applied to many I talked to many hospitals as well, but they needed a permanent registration. So like for our state, the registrations got very delayed. So like I think 2 or 3 days before only I got my permanent registration done. So I could not apply anywhere. And then now the counseling is going to start only.
oh,
So I didn't get that opportunity to work somewhere.
okay, okay. And what about like your hobbies? Like, of course, you wouldn't be studying most like all the time in medical.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
what did you do as your stress buster or any anything that you did in your
Yeah.
college, like fest or whatever?
Yeah, yeah, obviously, I feel it is very important to develop a hobby for yourself because you can't be studying all the time. And whenever I didn't feel like studying, I used to ask myself that, okay, can I do the bare minimum right now? So if I would be like, okay, maybe we can just do the bare minimum. So I used to just lie down my bed and just solve some questions. And I was like, okay, I'm done. And then I would just, and sometimes there were days when I was like, okay, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to study like right now. So I used to be like, okay, let's do something that I really like. So I used to watch some stand-up shows, watch some movies, or play guitar. I really love playing guitar. So I used to play guitar. And yeah, so I did these things to like rejuvenate myself.
Okay. Also, talking about like in medical college, there's a lot of stress that people talk of. Did you find it
Hmm.
during your preparation for NEET PG? And if you did, how did you
Hmm.
cope up with it?
Yes, stress, there is definitely a lot of stress. I mean, you constantly have that thing in your mind that I need to crack it, I need to get a seat for myself. So obviously there is a lot of stress, but then I think you should take breaks as well because you can't keep studying all the time. So what I did was basically in my final year, I experienced a lot of like things because of the stress that I had and I could not cope up with it. So I was like, I don't want to repeat it in my NEET PG preparation as well. So whenever I used to feel very stressed or whenever I was like, okay, I'm not able to cope up with this as well as the duties, I used to just take a break for myself. I used to do all the things that I loved in those breaks and all. And it used to make me very happy. And then after that break could have extended for even 1 month. But I took that for myself because I was like, I need to prioritize myself and my mental health for this before like all of this. So I used to take a break, I used to have fun, and then I used to come back to studying, like my studies even stronger. So then I used to be like, okay, now I'm pumped up and now I'm all motivated to study. And also taking breaks is very essential.
Right, right. And any nice or fond memories that you have of college that you might miss in your PG now?
Yeah, I made some amazing friends during my MBBS, and I made amazing memories with them. You know, we were always together during our postings, during the classes and all. So, like right now, also, I go through my pictures and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna miss all of them in my PG. How am I going to make new friends? Because, like, being an introvert, it is very difficult for me to make friends. So, like, I was like, it is going to be difficult in PG. I'm going to miss all of them.
It doesn't seem like you're an introvert, let me tell you.
It is very difficult for me to do all of those things, but genuinely, like the people who know me, they know that I am a very big introvert.
And yeah, also about social media, did you like waste a lot of time on it during like when you were preparing? Because we often tend to just keep swiping it,
Hmm.
forget our main task.
Yeah, like not really. I had basically an account for myself where I used to follow only the study related accounts on Instagram. So, you know, they used to tell the strategies, how to prepare for the exam and all of those posts and all. So I used to follow those pages. I mean, there were times when I used to deviate from it and start watching all those addictive reels. But then I tried to like limit my time on Instagram. I had those like digital well-being apps and all, you know, which help you to limit your screen time and also I used to try all of those things to like limit my distractions.
Okay, correct. And now, since you are also, making content for all these young
Mm.
NEET PG aspirants, why don't you tell us about your page? I personally follow it and I love it. You post so much about next and how to prepare for it. So, if you could tell
Yeah.
us a little more about your page.
Yeah, actually, like the inspiration behind it was like when my result came, all of my juniors and all of my batchmates, they started messaging me like as to how to prepare and how to like go about the preparation. So initially I was like helping everyone individually, but it came to a point where I was like, I can't be doing this like the entire day because like the entire day I used to be on my phone helping people. Then I was like, why not create a common platform where I can share everything about my journey with other people that can inspire them as well. So that was when I created my Instagram page, that is that med girl. And then through that, like mainly I want to share about my journey. Also, I like through my page, I wanted to break the stereotype that many people have that private medical college students cannot crack NEET PG. And because like I saw this, so this was so much relevant in my college as well. So I was like, I really need to break the stereotype and I need to tell my juniors that if you work hard towards it, you can achieve it. And, you know, don't let these barriers come in your way that you're doing it from a private college, from a deemed college. And if you have that belief in yourself, you can definitely crack it.
That's so correct. Even I have heard that a lot of times. But sometimes when you're
Yeah.
preparing for such an exam, it's also important to have a mindset, to have a goal
Yeah.
also. And
Hmm.
sometimes it
Hmm.
becomes difficult to set such a high target because of your
Hmm.
conditions or whatever you're going through. So how did
Exactly.
you aim
Hmm.
high? Like, how did you think that no,
Hmm.
no one can stop me, I can do that? How did you train your
Hmm.
brain basically?
Yeah, I would say that like mindset is something that is very important. Like, you know, 19 subjects are at one place and your mindset is at one place. So mindset is something, even if you study the 19 subjects very properly, but you don't have the correct mindset towards your preparation, you won't be able to crack the exam. So I feel being in a private medical college, it is very difficult to have that mindset to aim high, because the environment around you is like, I mean, not only students, some professors and some residents also like demotivate you, that there have been times during my internship where I've requested a resident that, ma'am, can I please leave early? There's no work here. And she's like, why do you want to leave early? And I'm like, "Ma'am, I need to prepare for Neet PG." And then she's like, why do you need to study for Neet PG? You're anyways going to do your PG from a deemed college. So might as well just stay here and do some work. So I was so shattered at that time that, this is what people feel. I mean, there were some professors as well who used to be like, you're just wasting your parents' money here, and you guys are not going to do anything. You will end up in a private college for your PG as well. So, it is not just the students, it is the professors, it is like some certain professors, certain residents, which make you feel that, I won't be able to do it. So that was when I was like, okay, I need to turn a deaf ear towards all of this, because I was like, I need to do it this time. I don't want to have the same regrets in my life again, because I had experienced all of that in the past, and I was like, I don't want to go through that phase of my life again. So I was like, okay, I don't care what anybody says around me, I am going to do it. So that was my mindset, that I can do this. Yeah.
And now do they come and congratulate you and they're like, no, we knew you would do it.
Yeah. Now the same people come and ask me, okay, how did you prepare? And like they congratulate me, and I'm like, okay.
Also, during your preparation, like as you told, you didn't, think about all of this, but I'm sure
Hmm.
you had competition in your class. Did you think that
Hmm.
oh, he or she studies so much more than me? Of course, they're going to get a
Hmm.
better rank than me. Or did you have that
Hmm.
feeling that I can never get above them,
Hmm.
or like better than them?
Hmm. Yes, obviously. I mean, there were many people of my class who used to score much more than me in our university exams and all. So I always had that, and it's a very bad thing to do, but I always had that, comparison that, okay, this person is studying so much in the library. I'm not doing anything. I don't stand anywhere. And today, like, I had those thoughts throughout my preparation, that I don't stand anywhere. These people study so much more than me. And then now I realize that I was so dumb to, think about all of those things. I was so dumb to compare myself to others. And like, everyone has their own journey, everyone has their own life, and you need to stop comparing yourself with others. And everyone will eventually reach where they want to in life, and you will also reach there. So it's better to, focus on your journey and not compare yourself with others. And this is something which I realized after my results came.
Oh, right. Also, like during your journey, did you face a lot of competition? Okay, this just a sec. Like, did you face a lot of competition when you had to like, if in case you gave like this exam
Hmm.
GT and all of that? Did you feel like these
Hmm.
times are telling you where you stand, or did you feel demotivated those times?
Yeah.
That, why aren't my rank increasing or something?
Mm. Yeah, I think GT scores were very demotivating for me. Initially, I used to just score in like 300s in my GTs. So like those days, like initially I was like, it was such a big setback for me, and it was like I don't stand anywhere. But then like I went on YouTube, I searched on some videos, and then many people, like they were like, you should consider it like more of a learning tool, and not like, don't judge yourself on the basis of your GT scores. And so that was when I started developing a positive mindset towards GTs. And I didn't really, at after one point of time, my score was stuck between like 400 to 500. And after one point of time, I stopped caring about my score, but I was like, okay, whatever is wrong in my GT, I'm just going to learn from those things, and I'm not going to repeat those same mistakes again.
Yeah. So, what was your GT score like? How did it gradually increase
Hmm.
finally? Like, you would have given a GT before your final. So,
Hmm.
remember your score
Yeah.
back then?
Yeah, like the last GT that I gave was 1 month before NEET, and my score in that was 503.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
did did you want to give more tests after that, or you were like, no, now I'm prepared and I'm going to just
No. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, that was like the last GT that I had decided for myself to give. I was like, okay, 1 month before the exam, I'm going to give this one GT. And that was the first time my score ever crossed 500. Like in all the other GTs, I had scored in like 300s and 400s. So that was the first time my score ever crossed 500. So that gave me a little hope that, okay, maybe I can do well in the exam. And then after that 1 month, I just revised whatever I had to study. And then, like, I just gave the exam, and I had never scored above 600 in any of my GTs ever. So, like, the result was a big shock to me.
And how did your parents react to your result, and how was it when you checked it?
They went crazy after, like, when my result came, because, like, when I had come after giving the paper, I was really not sure as to how my paper really went. So I was like, I can't get above 600 at any cost. Like, maybe I'll get around 550, 560. And they were like, okay, theek hai, like, it's fine. Okay, then we'll see where all you can get admission. And then I had never expected my score to go above 600. So when they came to know about, they went crazy. They started calling up everyone. They were telling everyone my results. I was like, it was a very happy moment for all of us.
Correct. So, do you have, like, in the end, do you want to say something to the people who have taken a drop year or are preparing for it for a
Hmm.
long time, or even the people who will appear for
Hmm.
it? Something for them?
Hmm. I would just like to all the people preparing for NEET PG, I would just say that have that confidence in yourself, have that belief in yourself that you can make it. Just don't listen to people who tell you that you're not going to do it. Just remove all those barriers from your mind, just remove all those stereotypes from your mind. And if you keep, like, if you honestly work hard towards it, if you honestly study everything and just give your full heart to it, you're surely going to make it.
That's great. Thank you so much for giving your time on this channel. And
Thank you so much.
I would tell all my viewers to go check her Instagram. I'll put the link in the description box. And thank you so much for giving your time. And yeah, so to all the viewers, see you in the next video. Till then, subscribe and like.